I was handed an envelope at my father's funeral. Inside, a single train ticket and a handwritten note. You always knew when to leave. Use it. That was the moment I realized, even in death, they still believed I was the outsider. A pale gray sky looms overhead. Drizzle falls without end, following Ethan from the graveyard to the front steps of his childhood home. His black funeral suit clings to him, soaked, stained, heavy. He enters through the creaking door. The familiar house, once filled with warmth and life, now feels like a hollow memory. No one greets him. No words of comfort. Only his mother, worn and weary, stands quietly in the dim light of the living room. In her hand, a faded envelope. She doesn't meet his eyes as she hands it to him. Her voice is barely audible. Your father left this for you. Ethan accepts it hesitantly. There's a brief flicker of confusion in his eyes. His fingers tremble slightly as he opens it. Inside, a one-way train ticket, destination unknown, and a small folded note. He opens the paper. His father's familiar handwriting stares back at him, neat and slanted. You've always known when it's time to leave. No explanation. No goodbye. No warmth. Just a line, simple yet sharp as a knife, closing the chapter on a strained, silent relationship. Ethan doesn't speak. He doesn't cry. But his eyes, wet not with rain, but with something deeper, say everything. The pain is quiet, but it radiates. The message feels like rejection, final and absolute. Even from the grave, his father chose distance over reconciliation. He grips the ticket tighter. It feels less like a gift and more like banishment. Perhaps he realizes he was never really wanted. Not then, not now, not even at the end. The old kitchen is silent, save for the steady ticking of the wall clock. Plates of untouched food grow cold. The smell of damp wood and reheated casserole hangs in the air. Tension hums beneath the surface as Ethan, Claire, and their mother sit around the scratched wooden table. At the center of the table, a thick envelope, their father's will. Their mother opens it slowly, hands trembling ever so slightly. She reads aloud, voice low and measured, each word like a nail being driven in. Claire is awarded the house, the savings account, and a 40% share in their father's small mechanical company. She nods, unsurprised. The golden child. Her expression is smug, calm, entitled. Then the mother stops. Looks at Ethan. Gently, she pushes a small envelope toward him. Inside, the same one-way train ticket. Nothing else. Claire lets out a dry, almost triumphant laugh. Her voice slices through the silence. You never liked being tied down, right? She says with a sneer. Well, looks like Dad finally gave you exactly what you wanted. Ethan says nothing. His jaw clenches. His eyes don't blink. But something inside him shifts, breaks. The truth is stark. Even in death, his father had drawn a clear line. Claire was legacy. Ethan was departure. The room grows colder. The clock ticks on. No one eats. No one speaks. The silence is louder than grief. The dim glow of passing train lights flickers across Ethan's face. He stares out the window, still, unreadable. But behind his eyes, something stirs. The tracks outside seem to lead not forward, but back. Back to where it all began. He was 10, maybe 11, watching from a quiet corner of his classroom after parent-teacher night. Claire stood with their mother, proudly holding up a test covered in red A's. Their mother bent down, kissed her cheek and whispered, "You're brilliant. I'm so proud of you." Ethan had a test too, B+. Not perfect but not bad. He slid it into his bag before anyone could ask. As he got older, Ethan learned to earn. By 16, he worked part-time at a dingy cafe, scrubbing tables, hauling trays, sending part of every paycheck home. His clothes wore thin. His hands roughened. But no one ever said, "Thank you." One night, he asked his mother a question that had lived in him for years. "Do you ever feel proud of me?" She didn't hesitate. "You're strong, Ethan. You don't need praise like Claire does." Those words, gentle but final, sank deep and stayed there. Now, as a grown man sitting alone in his childhood room, he holds the train ticket in his hands. The paper is thin, but the message is heavy. It's not just an invitation to leave, it's the natural next step for someone they've never really tried to hold on to. His father didn't leave him nothing. He left him freedom. And his mother? She left him with a belief that strength means silence, and silence means solitude. Maybe they never meant to push him away. But over time, not being chosen begins to feel the same. Ethan left the old house just before sunrise, while dew still clung to the fences and the streets were hushed in sleep. He carried only a small backpack, a worn-out laptop, and the one-way ticket no one expected him to return from. There was no goodbye, no words of luck. But he didn't look back. He settled in a cramped room on the outskirts of a tired city. The bed creaked, the window barely shut, and the stove hissed with age. He worked days as a barista in a dusty cafe. At night, he typed away in silence, lines of code flickering on a dim screen. Dinner was often cold bread and instant coffee. His bank balance rarely crossed triple digits. But Ethan had a plan. A self-learning platform, one that let people grow at their own pace, away from the noise of grades, rankings, and silent comparisons. He called it the no-score platform. It took 4 years. Sleepless nights. Rejection after rejection. More than once, he almost quit. But he kept building, kept refining. And then one day it happened. The industry took notice. Articles called him the quiet founder changing how we learn. His startup hit $1 million valuation. Investors came knocking. Success, at last, had found its way to his door. Claire had always been the chosen one, trusted, celebrated, placed front and center. But Ethan? He built his own center. Brick by quiet brick. He never built the platform to prove anyone wrong. He built it to prove something to himself. Not being chosen doesn't mean you don't belong. The phone buzzed on Ethan's desk just as the winter sun dipped behind the skyline. He sat in his glass-walled office, towering above the city. On screen, Mom. He hesitated. It had been months, maybe years, since she called without a reason laced in duty. He answered. Her voice came in hoarse, urgent. Claire made a bad investment. The company's collapsing. The shares your father left, they're nearly gone. Silence. Can you help? Ethan clenched his hand into a quiet fist. Images flashed through his mind. The will dinner, the train ticket, the quiet exclusion. His mother's voice softened, like velvet hiding a needle. You've always wanted to prove yourself. Are you still holding that against me? He didn't reply. He wasn't angry. Just detached. Claire's still your sister. We show up for each other, don't we? Each word was a pull, guilt wrapped in love, expectation painted as care. Part of him wanted to hang up. Another part, deep down, still felt like that 16-year-old kid, craving approval, aching to belong. He looked out the window. The city pulsed beneath him. Every brick, every dollar, every win, earned alone. And then the thought hit him. Is kindness the same as obligation? The call ended without a promise. But Ethan didn't sleep that night. Late afternoon. Gray skies, a light drizzle tapping the glass. Ethan's office is quiet, just him and the soft glow of his computer screen. Then the door opens. Claire steps in. No makeup. Her coat damp with rain. Her eyes puffy and red. She clutches her purse like it's the last thing holding her together. Ethan, she breathes. Her voice is hoarse. I know I shouldn't be here. I don't have anyone else. He says nothing. Just looks at her. The sister who once smirked as he was handed nothing, now standing before him, stripped of pride. Claire sits down slowly, covering her face with both hands. I used the inheritance on crypto. And an ex, he said he could double it for me. I believed him. I was stupid. Silence. Now everything's gone. The company, the apartment, even Mom's trust. I need you, Ethan. Like when we were kids. You used to help me with math homework. You never said a word, but I remembered. Ethan leans back in his chair. His voice is low, steady, cutting through her plea like cold wind. Tell me, have you ever stood up for me? Claire freezes. Then looks down. Her shoulders shake, maybe from guilt, maybe shame, or maybe from finally seeing what she never wanted to admit. "I'm sorry," she whispers. Barely audible but real. Ethan doesn't speak. He doesn't rush to comfort her. And in the long, heavy pause that follows, something shifts. For the first time, Claire is no longer the favored one. And Ethan is no longer the forgotten. Monday morning. Soft sunlight filters through Ethan's office windows. He's reviewing a market expansion brief when the receptionist buzzes in. "You have an urgent courier from the court." Ethan walks out to receive it. A thick beige envelope. Bold letters stamped across the front. Subpoena. He opens it. Plaintiffs: Margaret Thompson, Richard Thompson, legal representative of the estate, and Claire Thompson. Defendant: Ethan Thompson. Charges: intentional emotional harm to family members, breach of familial trust for failing to provide support during Claire's financial crisis. Ethan freezes. He sits, one hand gripping his forehead. Not angry. Not surprised. Just He remembers that call from his mother. Her soft, tired voice. "We're family, Ethan. You won't abandon us, right?" He hadn't answered. Then Claire came. Crying. Pleading. But never once said, "You were right." Now this. A lawsuit, as if family were a debt to be paid, no matter the history. As if love could be demanded through legal channels. News spreads quickly. Online headlines scream. EdTech founder sued by own family. Some call him heartless. Others wonder aloud, why would a family sue for not helping? Ethan silences all notifications. He stares out the window. The old one-way train ticket still sits on his desk, the one his father left behind. "You've always known when it's time to leave," it says. But this time, he didn't walk away. This time, they're forcing him out. Legally. Publicly. Permanently. Late night. Ethan's office is quiet, bathed in a soft amber glow. He sits before a microphone, alone, a thick court file on the table in front of him, the betrayal labeled family. Headphones on. A single click. Ethan goes live on the top-rated financial podcast, Truth Behind the Numbers, where entrepreneurs share raw, unfiltered stories behind their success. He begins, voice calm and measured. "My name is Ethan Thompson, founder of ARCT, and currently being sued by my own mother and sister." Silence on the other end. No anger. No tears. Just the truth. He tells it all. The train ticket on the day of his father's funeral. The inheritance dinner where Claire received everything. The childhood where praise was rare and expectations were high. The startup built from ramen nights and second-hand laptops. "I was taught that family is unconditional. But it turns out, the condition is I must always give, never ask." He pauses. Looks into the camera. This episode isn't revenge. It's the only chance I've had to tell my side of the story. The episode airs. Days later, social media erupts. Startup forums, finance pages, and opinion blogs dissect every word. Clips are shared, debate sparked. A hashtag emerges. Hashtag let Ethan speak. People ask, why would a successful founder be sued by his family? Is this emotional manipulation disguised as familial loyalty? Psychologists, journalists, and high-profile entrepreneurs weigh in. Slowly, public opinion shifts. For the first time, Ethan is no longer seen as the cold-hearted son. He becomes a symbol for all the strong ones in families who are expected to carry the load and never ask for love in return. The narrative has changed. And this time, it's his voice shaping it. Late afternoon. Ethan's office is still, not from isolation, but from calm after the storm. He gazes out the window. Sunset light spills across the glass, warming the cold architecture. His phone buzzes. Screen, Uncle Paul, Chicago. He hesitates, then answers. "Hello." A deep, slightly raspy voice replies. "Ethan, it's Uncle Paul. Your father's brother. It's been a while, but I just listened to your podcast." Ethan pauses. Waiting. "I'm not surprised, you know. Years ago, I left the family too. Same reason. Your father, was the golden boy. I had to fend for myself. When I finally walked away, they called me ungrateful. But I knew, if I stayed, I'd lose who I was. Ethan closes his eyes. One slow breath. I thought, no one would understand. Paul chuckles softly. They never do. But that doesn't make you wrong. A long silence follows. Not awkward. Just real. I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. Not for art. Not for going viral. But for not letting silence bury the truth. For the first time in a long time, Ethan smiles. Genuinely. Thank you, Uncle. Maybe someone finally sees me. The call ends. But something inside him opens. A gray morning. Mist gathers on the office window, blurring the skyline. Ethan sits at his desk, gaze distant, expression calm but weathered. A soft knock interrupts his thoughts. He looks up. His mother stands in the doorway. She's thinner than before. Worn coat, wind-tousled silver hair. Her posture no longer commanding, just tired. Can I talk to you? Ethan nods. She steps in quietly, clutching her handbag like a lifeline. She sits, her eyes searching his face, unsure where to begin. Your father's gone. Claire's lost. You're the only one who seems to have held on. Her voice shakes, but she doesn't cry. She's not here to manipulate. Not today. I'm not here to justify. I just want to ask, can you forgive me? Silence. Ethan studies her, this woman who once chose silence over fairness, guilt over guidance. But something in him has shifted. Forgiveness, yes. He pauses. His tone is steady. Because I won't carry the weight of anger forever. Another pause. But going back? I can't go back to a place that never saw me. His mother flinches. Her lips tremble, but she nods. Slowly, respectfully. Ethan rises and opens the door, not to force her out, but to let her choose her path. She turns and leaves, each step seeming to shed a layer of denial. Ethan remains, bathed in muted morning light. He's not vindicated. He's not triumphant. He's free. In the weeks after their last meeting, Ethan notices something strange. Claire disappears from all social media. No new photos, no updates, no cryptic posts. Her accounts go dark, like echoes that simply stopped bouncing. His mother vanishes too. No more calls. No more messages. No online trace. Ethan doesn't search. He doesn't ask. He simply lets the silence settle. One crisp autumn morning, as sunlight spills across his desk in quiet familiarity, the front desk buzzes. A letter for you. No return address. A plain brown envelope. Handwritten, to Ethan. Inside, a single sheet of paper. His mother's handwriting, elegant, familiar, careful. We were never quite a family, were we? I chose wrong. I left you alone when you needed to be seen. I hope you find peace, even if it's not from us. Mom. Ethan folds the letter slowly. No tears. No smile. Just a quiet, resolute nod. He stands and steps out onto the balcony. Below, the city moves as always, impatient, vibrant, loud. But within him, a rare stillness blooms. There's no dramatic reunion. No perfect apology. Sometimes, absence is the closest thing to honesty. And silence is the final word. A quiet morning. No texts asking for money. No emails with legal threats. No missed calls masked as family concern. For the first time in years, Ethan wakes up and there's nothing pulling him backward. His apartment in the city feels less like a fortress and more like a sanctuary. He makes coffee, opens his laptop. No meetings scheduled. No urgent requests. Instead, one gentle reminder blinks on his calendar. 9 a.m., first piano class. He smiles. It's something he had always wanted as a child. But his father used to dismiss music as a waste of time, a weak pursuit. Every attempt to touch the keys had been met with lectures about duty and real futures. But today, there are no voices left to silence that part of him. He walks into the classroom, sits at the piano. The teacher asks kindly, "Have you played before?" Ethan shakes his head. "No. But I've always wanted to." He presses the first key. A single note rings out, imperfect, raw, honest. And just like that, something opens. He is no longer the backup child. No longer the shadow to someone else's spotlight. He is no longer reacting to the wounds of a family that never truly saw him. He is himself. Sometimes what you need isn't acceptance. It's release.